Hey everybody, this is Jack Alwa with another money episode, and today we are talking bond ladders. So let's get to it. So for people that don't know what a bond ladder system is, it's just allocating your money to different maturing bonds. So different maturity buckets, and treasury bills typically are 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5, 7, and 10 if you buy them at the beginning and hold them till expiration. So I put together this little framework that we could play with, where we put a little bit in all these buckets, and you wouldn't have to do this obviously. And I included this I bonds part because right now, I think for up to $10,000, you can get like 9.5%. So that's pretty cool. So let's explain what these numbers represent. So along here, you know what, I'll actually I'll put time here. So this is like a half year, a year, year and a half, 2 years. So how these treasury notes work is there is an interest rate associated, and typically until on the 6-month anniversaries, you would get a coupon payment. So you would basically divide this amount by 2 and then multiply it by whatever amount you put in, and you would get that coupon payment. And then when it matures, so this is maturing at 1 year, after a year you would get another coupon payment plus your principal back. So you put in $10,000, you get 185 in 6 months, and then you get 10,185 at the end of the year. And so you basically, I guess, kept your principal. Now, some people I can hear saying, Jack, why would I ever want to buy a bond that's only giving, 3.5%, 4%, 4.5% when inflation's like 8, 9, 10%? Well, that's a fair statement. And if your time horizon is long enough, yeah, I guess, maybe you should just put it in the stock market. But if you're trying to save for something in the next few years, and if your alternative is just holding cash, well, your cash is definitely getting eaten by inflation. So, I mean, it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. So you could put your money into a bond and at least the principal is safe, whereas you would be losing purchase value if you just held the cash. So this could, and you could see, as the stock market has climbed, if you would have diversified into some bonds, you probably would be pretty happy because the stock market, I think, is down like 25% year to date now. So little diversification never hurt anybody, and it can help you plan to save for certain things. Like big things. It could be like a house. I mean, instead of just holding cash, you could, if you knew it was going to be like in 3 years that you were going to purchase a house, you could buy a few different maturity date bonds and kind of plan accordingly. So let's say we were to put a little bit in all these buckets. Now these, I'm kind of guessing or kind of just looking, and normally you would think the longer you lend money for, the higher the interest rate. Now, I think recently the 3-month treasury bill actually had a higher rate than the 10-year rate, which is called an inversion, or like the yield curve inversion. And if you want me to do an episode on that, why don't you comment down? But it could, I would have to do some research even, but it's kind of wonky because, to me, I would view that as people think rates are going to go down. So for them to give money short term, they really need to be compensated because they know the rates are going to go down. Otherwise, they just invest long term at 10, 20 years out and just lock that rate in. But let me know what you think about that concept. It's kind of mind bending. Let's say we really just wanted to diversify a little bit on the long term, but we want like the cash kind of ready to go in the next few years. And let's say we really were shooting to have 20 grand available with all these payments at the end of year 3. So this is just summing up all of these cash payments from these different bonds. So what we could do in this spreadsheet, it's kind of cool, is I could do, if you go Alt TG, that's what we call a goal seek. And if we wanted to make sure we had 10,000. So these coupons, we want to keep these set just for diversification. So we'll put a little bit towards the 5, the 7, and the 10-year bonds. And so we want to alter this allocation. And these do not add up to one. These are just based off of 100,000. I thought that was easy to think about, but maybe it's confusing. So we lower this amount a little bit, and then we get 10,000, and say we also wanted 10,000 at the end of year 2. We could do another goal seek and change this allocation in the 2-year. Say we're definitely keeping this. Say we only wanted, let's say we want 20,000 at the end of 1 year. So this would be an allocation. How much is this total? So 52,000. You can see that there too. So what do those cash flows look like? Let's see here. So you can see that you would outlay a decent chunk, 52,000 at the start. Sorry, this doesn't really make sense because these are really in half years, so don't pay attention to those. But basically, you can see over time, you're getting positive cash back, and it's just a way to diversify. You're taking variability and volatility out of your portfolio when you shift from risky assets to these risk-free assets. And they're not, it's not necessarily a real return, because if inflation's at like 8 or 9%, these have a negative real return, but it's also preserving your principal, and it might be better than the alternative of just holding cash or risking your money in the stock market or some other endeavor like real estate, when you get like these risk-free rates and you're going to preserve your principal for sure. So it's just something to think about and something you could utilize. And I think the way I might use this, because basically, like real estate, for example, like some of my houses, they don't, it's kind of volatile on what they're going to return. So if when they're up, they're not like super up, and if the average isn't much higher than some of these, I might just prefer to go into some of these, just sell my property, go into some of these bonds, and it's just a guaranteed return, and you don't have to worry about dealing with tenants or your property manager or whatever is going on, and you can just chill and create passive income this way that's not as volatile. So it is a way to diversify, and I think I might look at this. Let me know if you guys are planning any bond purchases and how you're using bonds to, what are your goals and how are you using them? I think I might use them just to save for things that I'm seeing like myself purchase in like a year or two. I know I have some premiums from insurance companies that I'll be paying, in the next year, 2 years, 3 years. So I could put, if I had extra cash that I could put away towards these bonds that I know these cash flows are coming and I'm going to need to pay for them, it might be better to put them in one of these bonds than just sit on my cash or risk it in the stock market or buying another rental property. Let me know if you found this helpful. I'd really appreciate a subscribe and a like. If you didn't like the video, I want to hear a comment on why you didn't like it, and I'll try to get better. And I will see you in the next video. And if you want this workbook, let me know. Maybe I can make it available. So take care.